Welcome back to Central Valley Talk, where we meet here every week at this time and talk to authors and artists and people doing creative things. And of course, we're in the middle of COVID, and COVID has helped us make a discovery, and that is that we don't have to have all the guests right here in the studio. In fact, it's safer if they're not in the studio. But what that has helped us do is we realize we don't have to just talk to Fresno people or Central Valley people, but we can talk to people all over the country and all over the world. We have an author from South Africa, a couple from London, England, and our next guest is actually in Maryland somewhere. She's just given me a lesson in the geography. Not everybody's in Baltimore, right?
Right.
Now, Barbara Gilbert is our guest, and she's written a series of books. And they're kind of futuristic, post-apocalyptic. Do I kind of have the genre right?
Yes.
And something very interesting that I think would be the hardest subject to write about. You write a little bit about time travel.
Yes. Time travel is, like I said, a little hard to write about. I did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos, even instructions from different scientists on different theories. And even in the new book that I'm putting out in November 24th, I had to do a little more research because of the way I needed to get my character back to where she belonged.
Your character got stuck somewhere. Huh? Oh, now, by the way, the third in the series is coming out on November 24th. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. The ebook is currently available for pre-order right now for 99 cents on Amazon.
I would say of all the authors we have on this show, you have the highest likelihood that I will read your book because I've switched all over to ebooks and stuff like that now. So you're way ahead of everyone else. And 99 cents, how can you beat that?
That's true. I mean, the price will eventually be $2.99, but I like to give it a nice boost, let people are waiting for book 3 to get it at a special price.
Well, even at $2.99, I think that's a great price for a book. I mean,
yes.
We're used to paying $15 or $20 or $30 for a book. So now, tell us the name of the books and the series.
Okay, the first book is Future Apocalypse Beginnings, a time travel series, book 1. This is where Paulette first invents her time travel and travels into the future and gets stuck there in a post-apocalyptic future. Book 2 is called Future Apocalypse Journey to the City of Technology. This is where the group of friends that she runs into helps her travel across the Cascade Mountains over into former Eastern Washington to a place that has been built up out of the ashes of the old Tri-Cities, and she joins up with the City of Technology. Book 3 finds her in is Future Apocalypse Homeward Bound, and this is where she's working with the City of Technology, but she isn't happy with what their plans are for time travel, and is trying to devise a way to not only get back to her time and her friends, but also to prevent the City of Technology from doing their plans.
Now, as you mentioned each title, the cover popped up, the cover art, and it is art. Who does your covers?
Christian Ventulin out of the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
He does. I got his name from another author friend of mine. Boyd Craven sent me to him, and he does a lot of work for a lot of different apocalyptic authors as well as fantasy authors.
Yeah. And I want to say congratulations, by the way, on your third book, but especially since I always say this, that a lot of people start writing books, but very few know the art of finishing writing a book. So I can't imagine how you get there. It's a long editing process. You have other people help edit. You have other people read the books.
Yes, exactly. After I write it, in fact, this time to speed up the process a little, as I wrote several chapters, I sent those chapters to my beta readers so that they were already working on them. Especially one of my beta readers who is pretty much like a line editor. I mean, he just like crosses through everything. It's like a teacher with a red marker, you know. So I sent those to those, and the beta readers tell me what they think of the chapters, whether they like or don't like something. and then, any errors that they find. And then once I get all that corrected, I send it off to my paid editor. She does her thing. And then I go through and I look at her edits, make corrections, and send it back to her. In fact, I just got it back, accepted, and made some corrections, and I'm getting ready to send the book to my advanced reader ARC people. It's an advanced reader copy, and what they do is they simply read the book, and when it launches on the 24th, they'll get on and hopefully buy the ebook for 99 cents, so it's a verified review, and put a review in.
Nice.
They'll also, if they find errors, like an accidental typo, like I found when I was going through my book this time around, they'll tell me about them. So it's like getting another proofreading by multiple eyes.
Nice. Yeah, wow, that's very, very thorough, and I know that most of our authors we have on don't quite go to that extent, but I read books every day with errors, either grammatical errors or a typo or something like that, so good for you. I mean, it's
right.
Hard enough to come up with the story and to get the characters and follow the characters and get the thing done, and it'd be so disappointing for you, I'm sure, if you get to the end and there's some glaring thing. Now,
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the process, your process. Do you kind of map the story out ahead of time, or do you just start typing and see what comes out?
I actually pretty much start typing, but usually what happens is before I get ready to write the book, I'm up late at night trying to go to sleep, and my brain is producing the story.
Nice.
So by the next morning, I'm typing in what I can remember of it. And that's exactly how I figured out how to solve the problem of getting my main character back into her timeline.
Nice.
As I was hashing it out, trying to go to sleep, I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? And I'm like, oh. And then I went and looked it up on the internet, found out that there is a theory called holographic wormholes, and went from there.
Nice. So this is real stuff. You're researching real stuff for your book.
Right.
And tell me about continuity. How do you track the continuity of these different characters?
A lot of times, well, what I've done recently is I'll take my book and convert it into an ebook, and then I go sit down and read it just like I would if I was just a regular reader.
Uh-huh.
But as I'm reading it, if I catch something, I highlight it, I make notes. And that's how I caught a lot of continuity errors in book 3, because we're jumping all over the timeline.
Yeah.
And then, I was actually listening to the audio for book 2 and went, oh, wait a minute, that's wrong. I need to fix this. And this person's hair color is wrong. And so you do your best to figure out that by not only your editor finding those errors, but also when you're reading it yourself.
Hopefully after all that, you've got the continuity in order. I was going to ask, do any of your readers ever send you a note and say, hey, how come this or that? That seems out of order or out of character.
No, not really. I don't.
Because you've already worked through it and caught all those. That's why.
Right. It is a long process. I did push book 3 a lot faster. My first book was published August 2019, end of August.
Wow.
Second was May 31st, and this one's going to be November 24th. And a lot of that was due to the fact that I didn't go traveling like I normally do. I was supposed to go to Alaska in the spring, Missoula and Montana, and Washington and Oklahoma in the summer. Well, that all went right out the door with COVID. And so I
3 books in just over a year is extraordinary.
Well, almost 2 years, because
almost 2 years,
yeah.
Okay. Now, where does somebody find your book?
You can go to Amazon.com and just type Future Apocalypse, and it will pop up all three books.
And I would assume you recommend reading them in order.
Oh, yes. I've had a few people that have read, like on my ARC team, that haven't read book 1, but they read book 2, and they commented that because I tried, and even my beta reader that's a line editor says, hey, you need to give a little more detail because some people may not have read the other books.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to do a few flashbacks, a few things to tie it in so that if you didn't read the previous book, you at least have an idea why she's there.
Yeah.
And what's going on.
It's innate in me that I cannot read books out of order or movies out of order. I have to go back and, start from the beginning. Well, this is exciting. So the book will be out by Christmas. So I want to recommend to our audience, go buy all 3 books, give them as gifts in bundles of 3. That would be fun.
And since we're doing this interview, just a little tip for the viewers, if they wait till the day of launch for book 3, they can get all 3 ebooks for 99 cents each. If they like paperbacks, the paperbacks will be reduced to $9.99 a piece.
Okay.
So you can get 3 paperbacks for $30 or 3 ebooks for $3.
Nice. Now tell me about the some are on audio.
Yes, book 1 is on audiobook. You can find that also through Amazon or audible.com. Book 2 just came out on Audible. I was having difficulty with my previous narrator, and I shifted to a new one that I already kind of had in my back pocket, and she just cranked that thing out. And my first review that came in said, I sat down and listened to all 8 hours. I couldn't stop.
Nice.
When's book 3 coming out? Right faster.
Well, I tell you, for the snobs out there who says, I don't read audiobooks, I have started. So now I have 2 books going all the time, one audio and one, I don't know what you call analog book. I don't really do e-books too well. I've just started that too. But to be listening to one and reading one all the time is fantastic. So I recommend people try it. And it's just, I can then get in another book a week. Either I'm at the gym listening to it or driving in the car listening to it. And it's a great way to get through more books if you're a book nut like I am.
Right, and I have a suggestion for people like me who their mind can't sit still when they're listening to an audiobook. Your brain is off thinking about this or thinking about that, is listen to it when you're doing something else. So like driving, you're focused on driving, the audiobook's in the background. Or like me, when I need a break from writing, I go do a paint by number. And so I'm listening to this audiobook the entire time I'm painting.
That's a great
and so
tip,
my mind is occupied, but I still hear and understand everything going on in the story.
I actually play a trivia game on my phone where you read the question and select the answer while I'm listening to the audiobook, and people don't know how I do that. But I said, well, you only answer the question in like 2 seconds, so you might miss 2 seconds of dialogue, which your mind just fills in anyway. Yeah, I agree. I can't just sit and do nothing and listen to an audiobook. So, or sit and do nothing and watch TV either, for that matter. All right, but I want to get back to driving people to buying your book. First of all, there's a website, which tell us the website.
It is bjgilbert 815.wixsite.com/SYFY author.
So it's your name, B.J. Gilbert, really, 815, because there's 814 other ones out there probably.
Yeah, probably.
And then Wix site, which my kids keep trying to get me to do a Wix site. And so Wix site, it's on the screen. So if anybody's watching, they don't write it down or it's too complex to remember, call me here at Central Valley Talk. I'm going to keep that website right on my desk. So if you need it, I'll just give it to you. But easier is to go to Amazon and type, what was it again? Future Apocalypse, and you'll find all 3 books in the series.
Yes.
This is fun, Barbara. How often do people get to talk to the authors? This is a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts before we have to go?
No, other than, if anybody's wondering what I'm going to do next, I have the short story Year of Reckoning, but I plan on kind of taking a break and going through all these courses that I paid for that I haven't had time to do, and study up a little more on writing skills and all that. And then sometime late next year, I'll complete that story and make it a full story.
Yeah, and of course, if COVID lasts much longer, you may be cranking out more books, because there's not a lot to do.
But I need to get back into my photography.
Okay.
I got to get out of the house.
Right. Well, you hold the record for the furthest distant guest we have today, all the way from Maryland. What do you call it? The shore, the
Eastern Shore.
Eastern Shore. And by the way, is that hurricane or whatever went all the way through Louisiana? Now it's up there?
Right. It's dumping rain on us.
Yeah. Wow.
And my dogs don't like going out to the pen because there's about this much water out there.
Oh, boy. Well, all right. Our guest is Barbara Gilbert. Look for her books on Amazon, and we'll have her back in a month or so. Ask her some more questions, maybe right before the next book comes out or right after it comes out, November 23rd, I
24.
think. Thank you,
Yes,
Barbara.
24, yes.
We'll be back with more authors and artists right after this.